Welcome to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken. Shep will talk with some of the smartest thinkers in business to help make you more successful in your professional and personal life. This is Amazing Business Radio with Shep Hyken.
Hello, everybody. It's Shep Hyken here. We're back with another episode of Amazing Business Radio. Today, we're going to take a deep dive in the world of customer support and the contact center. Now, for those who have a contact center or have even one person dedicated to customer support, you're going to want to listen in. And for those that don't, well, you're going to find out what the future's like when it comes to your issues and your questions when contacting a company for support or help. All right, so let's jump into that in just a moment because I've got one quick announcement, as I always do before we get into the interview. If you've got an amazing story that you would like to share, or if you've got a question that you have related to customer service and experience, please reach out to me on any of the social channels. I am pretty much everywhere. If it is a question, use the hashtag AskShep. I'll either answer it right there in the social channel, on this show, or in my newsletter, the Shepherd Letter. And if you don't subscribe to the Shepherd Letter, it's free. Just go to hyken.com, HYKEN.com, and you will get a subscription coming to you every week. And I love something I always include is a fun cartoon that kind of summarizes what the article is about, and you're welcome to share this with your team, print them out, put them in your break rooms, give them to your friends, your vendors, your employees, everybody. So let's jump into the interview. And this week it's with Jonathan Rosenberg, who is the Chief Technology Officer and Head of AI at Five9. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shep. Very happy to be here this morning.
So we're going to talk about something we are both extremely passionate about, and that's a customer service, customer experience, but it's tied specifically to the contact center because, boy, we have done a lot of research, and I know this year my research is sponsored by Ring Central, but last year I was honored that Five9 sponsored the research, and we had all kinds of stats and facts about what customers think about when they are reaching out to a contact center for customer support. And as I was thinking about the title of this episode, I thought maybe redefining the contact center, because it's not about just a contact center anymore. It's about what might lead you to talking to somebody at a contact center.
The whole journey. Yep,
the whole journey, which oftentimes, and by the way, I'm referring of it, when I need help, what happens? I often don't even have to go to what is referred to traditionally as a contact center. I'm going to go online. I'm going to use a chatbot. I'm going to use a digital experience. So that's what the focus is today. So thank you for being our amazing guest today.
My pleasure.
Well, let's dive into this. There is, and I've got a bunch of questions I have written down here, but let's start with this. There's a big difference between the way things used to be and the way things are today. So what are the barriers that have prevented a better experience in what has traditionally been the call center that we now refer to as a contact center?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Shep, there's historically, honestly, been a lot of barriers. And it's pretty clear if you're just a regular day-to-day user, right? I mean, like, you know more than anyone, like as a passionate guy about customer experience. Like most people today, when they get to that portion of the journey where they're talking to the contact center, they don't usually say, that was an amazing experience. They don't. Unfortunately, it's historically been often the low light of the customer experience journey. And there's a long list of reasons for that. One of the big ones, I think, is that the technology was just so outdated, expensive. It's on premise. So much of the customer experience journey has improved because our software moved to the cloud, right, to deliver the kind of things you just talked about, Shep, where you can go online and get so we had a lot of stuff on premise. So problem one, we had software that was on prem. That's getting fixed as that software moves to the cloud. The second thing is, and this is where we get into AI, right, is that the contact center had been for a long time trying to help customers self-service their experiences and their problems, and the technologies to do that just couldn't meet customer expectations. We started with the old DTMF, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, and it was terrible, right? And then we had sort of the next generation of natural language understanding, and that was better, and you can do better, but it wasn't quite enough. And now, why I'm really excited, Shep, is we have this generative AI technology, and that's going to be able to really solve the problem. What's going to deliver is it's going to deliver bots that are actually conversational and have the context and the history and they know you. And then it's going to, when you do speak to a live person, because there still will be live people and you want to talk to them, um, it's going to help those agents have like almost precognition. They're going to know all about you, all what you need, what your problems are, all the data about you, so that they don't have to put you on hold all the time, and we'll have a seamless handoff between them. So these are the barriers: not on-prem and not good AI, not good tech.
Right. One of the questions, we asked a number of questions related to the contact center, and I know I've quoted this one a number of times over the past year and past years, because would you rather go to a dentist than reach out to customer support?
What was the answer to that one?
Here's the one I did this year. 43% of customers would rather clean a toilet than
Oh,
call customer support.
oh my God. I've not heard that. Oh, this
Because
makes
they
me feel.
don't know it's better today than it used to
Yes,
be.
yes, exactly. And it's not uniformly better either, too. Like because it's a lot of contact centers are still stuck in the past, and so people call them and they have that experience that they'd rather clean a toilet. What'd you say? 43% would
43
rather.
and 51% would rather go to dinner with the in-law than so.
Oh my goodness. Well, the bar is low, apparently, and I think we can do way better with the technology that we have today.
Yeah, and it used to be you created these, for lack of a better term, I call them like a tree, where if they ask this, then here's the answer, and it's a if then that kind of a thing. But
Yes.
what happens if you misspelled a word, or what happens if your punctuation, or you're just not great at typing out what you're thinking, and you get the wrong answers as a result.
Yeah. And it doesn't understand you because you have to follow
Right.
that rigorous tree. And that's what made people want to go to the agent.
Yeah. And today it's multiple languages. It understands that you can't spell properly, and it spell checks for you without making you feel like it's spell checking. And it might even ask a question to make sure they understand your question.
Yeah. Yes. This is the power of Gen AI.
Yeah. So very exciting times. So how does Gen AI improve overall? I mean, I'm going to ask you, like, what are the benefits if you were to incorporate this? And one other thing before we do that, is this an expensive thing to do? I already know the answer, but is this expensive for companies to implement?
No, and certainly actually it's dramatically cheaper than the cost of the labor for people to answer these things that could in fact be served and self-served via these bots. And that's actually the foundation of five nines like in top like business plans. Like we're saying, hey, we're going to provide software that allows you to not completely eliminate, because we don't believe in that, but reduce the amount of investment you need to make in human labor and arbitrage it over to software because it actually works well. But it has to work well enough for that to happen. So no, it is not expensive, it's not prohibitive. And the cost of implementing it, right, which Shep has historically been the big problem, is how do you configure it and set it up and build that tree? Like that used to be so complicated, and then you had to do all this bespoke training. With generative AI, what we're finding is that those costs are so much less. So it's quick to get started and easy and low cost to maintain.
Yeah. And quick means really quick, like a week, 2 weeks, less even. Depends on how much you already have in a product manual, if you will, because it extracts the information from where you want it. And it could be as simple as, hey, here's the product manual. Let's just stick that into the machine. That's a metaphor, the machine, the software. And then the generative AI does its thing to interpret it and properly be able to communicate it to the customer based on their questions. And the cost per, like, it's a per seat license. Am I correct? So typically, if I've got 5 people in my contact center or 5,000 people using the software, I'm going to be charged by the person. And there's an implementation overall fee, but it's really low.
Yeah, it's so actually it's interesting. It sort of depends on the product. For self-service, the whole idea is like there isn't actually a person. So there's different charging models out there. We do like what's called per concurrent call, basically. So however many EP concurrent calls or chats you have, that's what we charge for. And there's also some usage-based components too, and mixed matches. And then for human assistance, where we're using generative AI to sort of turn the live agents into like superhumans, right? With this like almost precognition, that is a mix again of per agent seat and also usage based.
Yep. And with we don't need to talk about specific numbers and
Yep.
pricing, but I'm just going to share for the people listening, we're talking as you think about, wow, you're going to charge me per call, but it's pennies. It's not dollars. It's even fractions of pennies in some cases. And as far as a license on a per person basis, it's like, my gosh, we're probably spending as much on a Microsoft Word type product as we are to do this. I mean, it's really reasonable.
It's well worth it. And more importantly, there's an ROI for it. And that's what we do. When we talk to customers, we show them like, oh, look, you use this agent assist call summarization feature, you shave 30 seconds or a minute off the handle time for the call compared to the agent writing that note. And let's do a little math. There you go. You actually see you're saving money.
Yeah. And this is a real important point that you just made. It made me think about if you are thinking that you want to approach your leadership, your C-suite, and say, hey, we need to implement this. The argument that needs to be made is the ROI. You have to prove that an investment is going to save money or make money and such that it far exceeds what you invest in. So that's an important piece that if you're thinking about doing anything like this and you haven't done it and you need to get buy-in from your leadership team or from your partners, the way to do it is to just look at the numbers and see what it is. One other comment that you made, and it's you said we don't want to replace humans. We want to augment them. We want to work in tandem, but we can shave 30 seconds off the average handle time. And time is money when you're talking to people, and that's your highest expense. Little pieces like that, allowing the agent and the employee to be able to have information at their fingertips allows them to build relationships with customers. It also allows them to go deeper with a customer where the AI can handle the basics, the general over and over repetitive questions that customers ask that are simple to answer.
Yeah, and that's the ones where we do want to use the AI to replace the human. And where we don't, Shep, I always think is when you need empathy, right? And it's my firm belief that AI can never provide empathy because empathy is a fundamentally human characteristic. And so, when you call up and you're just mad or you're nervous and you're not sure it's working, no one in those cases, no one's going to want to talk to the AI. I promise you, nobody. They're going to want to speak to a person to get assurance, to be able to complain a little and get some empathy and confidence. So we're going to still need people for this, for the complicated ones that need a human in the loop. And let's take the easy stuff and put that in the generative AI, and deliver great experiences there too that people love. That's the bar we've got to hit for customer experience, Shep, is like people need to feel that these self-service bots, they like them. They love them, right? And you've talked about this. Like, fine is not enough for those
Yeah.
bots. Okay.
Fine is a 4-letter word. It starts with F. Yeah, it's the F-bomb of customer experience.
F-bomb of customer experience. It has to be great. And Gen AI, I think, can finally do that for us. And then when you get to the agent, we want to also help the customers feel like that was amazing, right? Because they knew everything. And you know what we want to do, Shep? I talk about it this way. We want to use Gen AI to give the agent so much context and knowledge and answers that we no longer need the call hold button for the agent. That's my goal. I'm here in this business because I want to kill the goddamn call hold button.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but the reason people probably want to clean the toilet more than call the contact center is they spend all this time on hold. I don't want to have hold anymore. We want to be able to have the agent be able to know everything, do everything instantly, so that you never have to be put on hold again. Then I can retire.
And not have to transfer to somebody else, because not only do they have information about the customer, about what the customer is calling about, but they're being fed information about the problem that maybe they weren't trained to resolve and solve, but by understanding what's on the screen, they can interpret it the way the customer needs to be.
Exactly right. We want to take like the skills and the knowledge and the experience for your best agents, right? And we want to expand that so that it now using Gen AI becomes available to all of the agents, like you said, so that they don't have to bounce you around all the time. And oh, by the way, we can use Gen AI to also help land you in the right place in the first place. Again, this is one of the reasons people would rather clean the toilet is like it just can't seem to figure out where to send you to the wrong department because it's these highly structured, press 1 if you want to return a product, press 2 if you want to place a new purchase. And it's too structured. But when the time people call or chat, it's pretty complicated, right? Because they've already done the Dr. Google thing and they've already went to the website. So we need a generative AI system that can help really understand what's going on and get you to the right place in the first place. So that's all this context. Context is the key thing for generative AI to do a better job.
Wow. Well, there's so much information here, and we are going to come back and we're going to talk more about how you might implement this, the easy way to get into AI. We have lots more information to cover here. We are talking with Jonathan Rosenberg, Chief Technology Officer and Head of AI at Five9. This is Amazing Business Radio. Do not go away. We'll be right back. Shep Hyken here with an offer that won't cost you a cent. You may have heard me talk about my annual customer service and experience research. We've surveyed thousands of customers matching the U.S. Census for age, gender, ethnicity, and geography, and we find out what customers love, hate, and want in a customer experience. What's the number one customer experience that almost every customer desires? What makes them come back? What makes them leave? Why won't they fill out surveys? What do they think of AI? Well, these questions and more are answered in the research, which, by the way, is sponsored this year by RingCentral, a leader in global communications. You can download the full report by going to hyken.com and clicking on the research tab at the top. Like I said, it won't cost you a cent, but it may make you or save you thousands and thousands of dollars when you understand your customers' expectations. Again, the website is www.hyken.com.
You're listening to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken.
We are back on Amazing Business Radio talking with Jonathan Rosenberg, the CTO and head of AI at Five9. And this is the scenario that people are afraid of. They're going to have a problem. They're going to make a phone call. They're going to be put on hold for some extraordinarily long period of time. They're finally going to get to somebody. That somebody has such a thick accent they can't understand them. And maybe there's some noise in the background from 100 other agents trying to answer questions. It's difficult to hear. You finally get through to this person. You explain the problem only to be transferred to somebody because it's not in their expertise. And this goes on. And an hour later, your problem may or may not be resolved. This is why people are afraid and would rather clean a toilet or go to the dentist than call customer support. It's crazy.
It's a low bar, and so we know we can do better, and we finally have the tech and the tools to do better, and we owe people better.
Yeah. When we were on the break, you made a really great comment, and I don't know if you remember you said it, but you said about it. It's basically a difference maker, the experience.
Yes.
And we were referring to there are laggards out there, and I say laggards because they haven't made the investment of transitioning. The cost of it dollar-wise is small, but the transition from an old system to something new, you've got to train people. There's, but the ones that don't do it are making a huge mistake, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. They are because and this is what we're talking about is that the customer experience, the experience you have when you talk to the contact center, it's part of what drives brand loyalty or disloyalty.
Yep.
And so that investment in delivering great experiences, when you really nail it, right? When you deliver this great experience and someone actually, hangs up or ends a chat and says, well, that was great, right? You have just earned a potential customer for life, and the value of that is very high. And the opposite is true too. So it really behooves CX leaders to invest, to raise the bar from that experience, Shep, that you just described. Enough with that.
And I guess, gosh, I had a quote in my head that I was going to share with you, but the loyalty piece of it is, well, here it is. Let's stop calling it the contact center.
Yeah.
We need to start referring to it as the revenue retention center.
And revenue generation and retention.
Well,
center.
And that's where we're going to lead to, because let's just jump into that right now. When you create the experience that you want to create, the trust between the customer and the company is there. This agent is that ambassador and is able to say, we know you so well. We can not only support you, and I'll bet you trust me if I make a suggestion on something you need to buy in addition to what you currently have.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's and that's where we see I get asked this all the time, Shep, like, what's the role of the contact center agent in the future? Are all these people going to go away? And I say, no, like any other technology that's transforming an industry, it changes the nature of the job. And so the new role that's going to come out is, and it's funny you said the word ambassador, I've been calling it, it's exactly a brand ambassador. These are brand ambassadors that you almost view as part of your sales organization, right? They're part of the structure of people that you have whose job is to create revenue and to retain customers.
Yep.
And they allow you to scale that out to huge numbers of people, to engage with them, to keep them, to retain them, to drive new business through suggestions and recommendations. And I ask people, and you think about it that way. So, well, every CEO, if you ask them, would you like more sales people? They would say, I'd like to have as many as I could possibly afford. We want that to be true for these brand ambassadors too. We're not there today, but that's where this technology change is going to help us get there.
We're not there today with every company, but when I am given, if I'm an agent, I'm given so much information about this customer, I can take a look. And here's the cool thing. The AI can tell me that this customer is the same as many, many other customers. They don't even know to ask the right question, but I know what question they should ask. So I'll help them do that because the AI, the machine, is feeding me, the agent, the information I need to understand what this customer is really going through. So I wrote down a comment while we were talking. It reminds me, if you go to McDonald's, and I love McDonald's, okay? And so this is not a knock on McDonald's, but it's going to sound like it, but it's not. And I order, I'll have a burger and a milkshake. What do they ask me?
Would you like fries with that?
Exactly. It's the upsell. Would you like fries with that? And truthfully, the fries are delicious. They're some of the best fries in the world, right?
I know. I worked at McDonald's too. That was my first job, in high school. I'm still a fan. Yes,
Right.
that's sort of an ambassador. They're upselling.
Yeah, but here's an even better example of that. If I walk into my favorite Ace Hardware store and I'm buying a can of paint, I need that salesperson who just helped me pick out my color or whatever to ask me, do you need a brush with this? Do you need a drop cloth? Do you need all the accessories? Because if I get home and all I have is a can of paint and realize I forgot to buy the brushes, now I have to go back to
Yeah.
the store. And it's not the store's fault, although the store could have managed the experience so well that I wouldn't have had to go through this. And I think this is where we become not just people that provide answers to questions and resolve problems, but this is where we get to actually ethically upsell and cross-sell because we know what the customer needs, even if they don't know it yet, and we do it right.
We do right. And what generative AI allows us to do is allows us to scale this, right? That's the trick, is it allows all these agents to, again, there's like tons of customers. How can they possibly know for all these customers what they need, what to do? But Gen AI can take all that information, ingest it, and provide that guidance and suggestions to the agent, the kind of things to upsell, what to say, context about the customer. Oh, this is Bob, and he's been here. He called or he chatted 3 times in the last month looking for paint, right? And that little concise little summary can be presented to the agent to help them do the job that you just described. And that's where it's going to really help deliver that value of these upselling masters, really, and preventing churn on
Yeah.
the service.
It's almost as if I've never talked to you before, but you have information about me that I've shared in the past, and it's obvious. And by the way, all it tells me as a customer is that you keep really good records of
Yeah.
everything we talked about and everything we've done. So how does a company, I know Five9 is really into the whole data security thing,
Yeah.
but how does a company protect a customer or actually maybe help a customer feel comfortable and confident and trust the company to share information and not feel as if you're, encroaching on their personal lives, make them feel uncomfortable. And more importantly, am I willing as a customer to be so open and honest with you because I'm going to share with you sometimes somewhat sensitive information, especially if I'm talking to a bank or a hospital via the chatbot or the AI.
This is top of mind, as you know. It's lots of conversation and things happening on this topic. So I would say this: the contact center industry, I can say with confidence this: we've historically been great stewards of customer data. And again, if we rewind time right back to the olden days of the contact center, people were calling up and reading credit card numbers to contact center agents that were typing them into systems for 20 years or
Yeah.
more, right?
Tell me, have you ever felt a little uncomfortable when somebody says, can I have your credit card? Oh, and can I have that security number? I mean, does that make you feel just a little bit uncomfortable?
It does actually. It does. And thankfully here things have gotten better. By the way, even in the contact center, we have tools that let a bot collect that information so the human doesn't hear it. For example, is one of the things we do. But the point I'm making is like this is the kind of stuff we've been doing in this industry forever, and us and people in this space in general have been building software that protects this data, secures this data, and like it's built into the very fabric of the software. So that's everything from like obvious things like we encrypt the data and we are extra care on how it's stored and logged and controls and access and how we send it to downstream processors. This stuff has historically been a strong point for the contact center. And so we're taking lots of effort to continue to protect the data, the new data we're getting in exactly the same kind of ways.
Yeah, and I think it's actually the protection's probably stronger, and at the same time, it allows the agent to get what data is necessary just to manage that experience for that customer. Let's jump to the future.
Yep.
What's it look like? What are the major milestones that you expect the industry to achieve in the next few years as we look out? How great is customer service and experience going to be?
Exactly. So I think some of the milestones we're going to see is first is we're going to start with bread and butter. Like, we're going to get everyone to cloud. Like that's the first thing we got. We're not even there yet, Shep. Like less than half of contact centers still like on old on-premise software, and there ain't any AI there, right? So we've got to get to. So we're gonna finally achieve that goal. I think what we're going to see is we're going to see that AI becomes almost like a built-in part of these platforms, and what that means is things like agents automatically having calls summarized and put in the case system. So every call is going to have a summary on it so that when you call back as a customer, the agent knows what happened last time. Like that's like one of the nearest term things we're going to hit is that's just going to be everywhere, right? And then the next milestones we're going to get to is we're going to start to see the chatbots and voice bots start to be much more human-like, right? And be much more conversant and be able to answer a much larger set of questions and deal with more winding conversations. And we're going to see a lot more customer satisfaction with that. And then when we start to hit those milestones, we'll start to see more and more people actually build preference for that as their self-service route. I'm going to feel really good when we hit that goal. And so instead of people be feeling like they're being forced to use these bots and they just want to get out of it, they're going to actually prefer it. I know we've made it, Shep, when that's true. And then because that unlocks all these next layers where we can start to transform the agents into these brand ambassadors for revenue generation and churn protection are all follow-ons when we sort of get to that goal. So that's a little bit of a roadmap for the next few years.
Well, hanging on that last one for a moment, if the customer prefers the self-service, which by the way, there's I don't want people to think that's going to eliminate people. To your point, Jonathan, you said, no, this allows when they finally do have to talk to a person for that person to be in a position to serve them better. But when, and I think the airlines are a great example. Today, when's the last time you called to make a reservation and talk to an airline employee?
And remember, exactly. And no one does.
You prefer to go but if you've got a problem, what do you prefer to do? Pick up the phone and talk to someone, right?
That's right. Especially for the emergency. Like we had a flight to London that was canceled and like we had all these plans. And so I didn't want to go to the website just to sort of rebook it because I was sort of not sure. I want to be really sure I was going to get on this thing. And it would so what did we do? We called. So it's exactly those cases, high tension, high emotion, high stakes, where you need that person in the chair.
Yep. All right. As we wrap up here, the question's coming. Is there one last I just love what you're talking about. There's so much that we haven't talked about. What's one final point you want to make?
The final point I would make is this, and I think it's more of a summary of what we've been saying. I feel like a gauntlet has been thrown at the feet of the contact center industry. That gauntlet is a challenge for us to rise to and grab it, and that is to deliver experiences that people actually love. And that's what we got to do. That's what we have to do. And so I think it's a call to action. It's a call to action to vendors like us to deliver the capability. It's a call to action to brands to make the investment to dramatically improve your customer experience. We now finally have the tools with generative AI that are going to allow us to deliver that. It's time to make it better.
I like that. I like it. It's a challenge. I challenge all those people that have not, the 50% you said that have not yet migrated over, and the current ones that do, to understand the gauntlet has been thrown.
It's been thrown at your feet. Go pick it up.
All right. All right. Thanks so much for being on the show. This has been an awesome conversation.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that wraps it up. What an amazing discussion we've had today about AI, about customer support, and about the contact center. Thank you, Jonathan Rosenberg. We will be back next week with another interview. And until that time, this is Shep Hyken reminding you to always be amazing.